Let's welcome to the show Congressman Jeff Van Drew and Congressman Rick Crawford. Great to have you both on. Thanks for spending your Friday with us. Why is this such a difficult thing to do, Congressman Van Drew? Stop the illegal protests, and then you won't have to have security for the justices.
It's not difficult to do. It's called following the rule of law. A couple thoughts come to my mind. Thank God Merrick Garland never did become a Supreme Court justice. Secondly, Mayorkas is doing what he always does, nothing. Both of them have done nothing. And think about the, not only inconvenience, but the fright and the hurt that we put on their families, on those around them, their children, their grandchildren, their husbands, their wives. This is no way to influence the court. This is not the America we know. It's not the way that we should be going about it. And certainly they should enforce the law, which wouldn't allow this. And you know what? One more quick thing here. We have a president and a majority party that won't even speak to the fact of how wrong this is and how wrong the attempted assassination of the justice was. I mean, just think of what they're doing. It's what they say others are doing, and they're doing much worse themselves. You know,
to the congressman's point, Congressman Crawford, by the way, this is not a tough case to crack. The group has already, that is doing these attacks on the pregnancy resource centers and churches, they already admitted to it, so they can just catch them. We've got Senator Tom Cotton. They sent a letter to AG Garland to stop this, and he's saying, you got to resign if you won't act. Congressman Crawford, it's ripping apart the fabric of the country when the DOJ cherry picks what laws to enforce.
Well, it's a two-tier justice system, and Senator Cotton, my Arkansas counterpart, was right, and I support that. He's right to ask for Attorney General Garland to resign if he's not willing to do his job. That's his job. He is referred to oftentimes as the top cop. That's his job. So go and enforce the law. And this two-tier justice system is really getting pretty tedious. I think the American people are really fed up with it.
Yeah, to what Congressman Crawford just said, Congressman Van Drew, I mean, Biden officials are not enforcing the law. And that's what the American people see. I mean, the DHS Secretary, Mayorkas, is not doing it at the border. He's not enforcing the law. AG Garland on these illegal protests, weak on crime DAs in San Francisco, Los Angeles, all throughout the country, all setting aside established law. I mean, this is what the problem is going on in this country. When you have picking and choosing of which laws to enforce, it breeds cynicism, Congressman Van Drew, in our country, and Americans don't like it.
And it breeds danger. Honestly, and I don't mean to sound extreme here, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart. This president should resign. Certainly Mayorkas should resign. That's Secretary Mayorkas. Certainly Merrick Garland should resign. None of them are following what our institutions, our Constitution, our government, what law is about and the rule of law is about. And what we're doing is completely breaking and tearing our very fabric, as you said, of our society. This is scary stuff. We're going to lose, the strength of America if we don't maintain the law. And you're right again on the border, over 50 individuals that we found who are on the terror watch list.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, we're going to get into that later. It's actually more. Year to date, it's now 192 terrorists caught on the terror watch list. That's more than all of last fiscal year combined. We're going to get into it with Senator Johnson later in the show. But Congressman Crawford, what basically Congressman Van Drew is talking about is all these weak on crime DAs, they've got to go. They're not upholding the rule of law. They're actually facilitating and aiding and abetting a crime wave. Now you got Portland, Oregon, Congressman. They're now as bad as San Francisco. Portland is getting destroyed by open-air drug markets after Portland was the first city in the nation to decriminalize hard drugs like heroin or meth. And now overdose deaths are skyrocketing. You can literally see in this Democrat-led city addicts collapsing on the sidewalks in front of you, but they get the equivalent of a traffic ticket. They're facilitating criminal negligence and a crime wave.
Well, the voters in San Francisco agreed with you. They got rid of their DA. The voters in L.A. are about to do the same in Los Angeles, and I hope the voters in Portland will recognize the need to get rid of their attorney general. If you're not going to enforce the law, if you're going to allow crime to reign in the city, then you're going to have to expect bad outcomes. It's just that simple. And so they need to get a handle on this. And I think federal law enforcement should set an example by enforcing federal law. And we're not doing that. So look, these DAs at the local level, they think, well, heck, if AG Garland's not going to enforce the law, why should we? So he's setting a terrible example and a dangerous precedent. And I do think he should resign. I think Mayorkas is also responsible for law enforcement. He should resign. And if Biden's not going to force them to do their jobs, he should resign as well.
Yeah. So Congressman Van Drew, what is compassionate? What is righteous and moral about what's going on? We've got fentanyl and drug gangs pouring into U.S. cities. Chicago has dozens of gangs. In San Francisco, there are also gangs, too. Now, drugs are a gateway to one of the worst crime waves in decades. You see double-digit spikes rates up in murder, rapes, and assaults. So what is so compassionate about unleashing this on an innocent public?
It's not compassionate. It's horrible. It's everything we don't believe. We have to protect our families. We have to make sure that they're safe. We literally have a revolving door system where those individuals who commit crimes, heinous crimes, violent crimes, go in jail, and they're out before literally sometimes the ink dries on the paperwork. We are destroying our society, and this is not compassion. This is horrible. And I can't even imagine. The thing I think about at night is, why would any president, any majority, any congressman, any attorney general ever want to see this?
Yeah, well, why would they want to be associated with lawlessness? You can just see it in the polls.
I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead. Final word.
We've got to go back, though, to the days, in my opinion, 3 strikes and you're out. We have to go back to the days when you have 20 and 30 priors and you've committed another crime. You go in jail and you stay there for a long time or maybe forever. We need a safe and good country.
Congressman Crawford, I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
Well, look, I agree. We need to enforce the law. We need there to be consequences for your actions. And we need people in law enforcement who are willing to enforce the law. And if you can't do it, step aside, let somebody else come in and do it.
Okay, Congressman Van Drew and Crawford, thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Come back soon.